stood watching, and the old osmosis effect of the minus temperature starting in your ankles and creeping up your calves into your knees, and I was freezing. And then one of the coaches that was running at the time turned around and said, "Does anybody want able to give us a hand?" And literally, my wife, bless her, her hand was in the small of my back, and I was kind of projected forwards, and it went from there.
Hello amateurs, welcome to episode 30 of the Amateur Rugby Podcast, here to help soothe your Sunday morning hangover with some elevated rugby chat about the grassroots of the game. I'm your host Tim, and today I'm still in Quito. Well, actually, by the time you're listening to this, I probably won't be, but more on that later. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode with Johnny Hilton. It was a banger, wasn't it? So interesting to hear about the rarely exposed life of someone trying to establish themselves in the Premiership. If you haven't listened to it yet, pause this podcast and go and download it right now. Are you back? Okay, good. My guest this week is full-time rugby coach Andy Stevens. Andy is a coach at Ellingham Ringwood Rugby Club in Dorset, where my nephew plays his rugby. This interview was recorded in January of 2020, and we talked about Andy's school playing days, his transition into becoming a top-level volleyball player and then coach, how he started coaching rugby, and some great ideas around setting targets for kids, coaching girls and the differences between the women's and men's game, and lastly, his move to become a full-time coach and landing a job at the club he supports. This episode is absolutely packed with value, so please welcome Andy Stevens. Andy Stevens, welcome to the Amateur Rugby Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, very welcome here in my brother's spare bedroom.
It's a lovely studio.
Yeah. It's interesting, a little bit of a heartback, because the first episode of the Amateur Rugby Podcast was recorded
would have been
in this house. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it's almost back to the beginning from here. Now, I'd just love to hear about your rugby story, because you're well into your rugby coaching now.
Absolutely.
But I'd love to start at the beginning. When did you start playing?
I started I would have been what was now classed as a year 7 at school. Right. My first year at senior school. I was quite keen on the game. Both of my PE teachers were Welsh. One of them played for London Welsh. And if you didn't play rugby, you didn't do a lot in PE, really. So that was my introduction to rugby. Loved it. And it's been a great game. I've loved it ever since.
It's funny that back in the day, PE teachers just did whatever they liked, really, in lots of ways, right?
Yeah.
It's very much more structured now, and they have to cross off a certain number of sports.
If you looked at an aerial view of our sports field, the rugby pitch was right outside the main building. And I seem to remember behind that was another rugby pitch, and then there was some tribute to cricket, and football was way over in the far corner, and there was a hockey pitch as well, and that was it. It was rugby or rugby.
And where was this? Where
Chippenham,
Chippenham,
Oxfordshire.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. And what were your school rugby days like?
I don't remember, to be honest. I remember enjoying it. I remember enjoying playing, and I can still picture the guys I used to play with. I don't think we were particularly good, but we enjoyed it. We won quite a lot of line-outs because I was high jump champion throughout my school career. Yeah, my brother, 4 years before me, my brother Paul, he went and set all of the high jump records, and I followed him along 4 years later and beat them all. So line-out was quite useful.
The younger brother is always the better brother, in my experience.
I wouldn't like to argue that.
Cool. Okay, so school rugby was great, and
it's been fun.
Yeah. And what, did you carry on playing then, or what happened?
Not really. I my problem being asthmatic.
Right.
So I started in the front row. My first game ever was loosehead prop. Bizarre choice for somebody 6'5", but there you go. Second game, and quite a few games after that, second row, which I quite enjoyed. And then I ended up sort of 5th year, 6th year in playing number 8. I used to love playing number 8. Unfortunately, my lungs didn't like playing number 8, being asthmatic. So one cold and wet day when our normal PE teacher was away, we were supposed to do rugby training, and our stand-in PE teacher says, "Do you fancy trying volleyball?" I said, "Why not?" Gave it a go and found out I was actually quite good at it. So kind of moved down that avenue and almost, stepped away from rugby for a while. Yeah. Stopped playing, still followed it when I could, but that was the end of my playing career, really. Yeah. I did a couple of games after school, I think like the Townview game kind of versions.
And is the asthma still a problem? Does it still affect you?
Not really. Learn to live with it. You know?
Right.
It's like a lot of these things. You know what you can do and what you can't do. And if I had to sprint after somebody, I'd take a bit of time to get there. But
You'd know about it.
Shot.
Yeah. But it sounds like volleyball was a success for you. Like, how did that go?
Oh, it was really good fun.
Yeah.
I played in Oxford. I would literally be a volleyball mercenary. I found a club that would train every day of the week. My club trained on a Wednesday, if I remember rightly, and we played local league on a different nights of the week, actually. And then we played National League on a Sunday. And then this team in Paul were advertising for people who had aspirations.
Yeah.
And I came and spent a weekend with them in the late 80s, and they said, come on down. So I moved to Dorset, uprooted, played for them.
Really? You moved house to go and play volleyball? Wow, that's amazing.
Moved from Oxford to Dorset. And we ended up in the team. We were quite high up in the National League Division 1, travelled all over the country, going to Leeds, Manchester, Newcastle, Staffordshire, Newcastle, London, Bristol, all over the place, just playing against these amazingly tall, amazingly good players. It was brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
And this is the indoor game, right?
Indoors, 6-a-side.
6-a-side, right.
Which is great. So you're on a 9x9 metre court, 6 of you on there. And when you get to that level, big people like me in the middle, you're not allowed to do the difficult digging part. It's like stand in the corner and wait to hit it.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah, the asthma wasn't an issue.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. But yeah, it's good. It's good fun. I don't see many of the lads anymore. I bump into them now and then, but we always reminisce.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant. It's really good fun.
How would you compare, was there a social element to it as well? And how would you compare that to the kind of the social element in rugby?
It was lots of young men with generally a bar and a nightclub involved, and probably something resembling a kebab on the way home. Yeah, it's quite similar, really.
Yeah.
Good camaraderie. We got on well. It's good fun. We all enjoyed each other's company. So yeah, it's pretty much the same kind of. Less singing involved, I would say.
Yeah, that's it. I guess there's not as many of you, is there? So like getting into a big chorus would be
a squad of 12.
Yeah,
six on the pitch, squad of 12. So yeah, I guess you'd outnumbered to start with. But it wasn't quite so social. I think whereas rugby, sort of both teams would have a beer. We'd probably have a beer and then move on.
Okay.
So it was quite sort of separate. So,
yeah,
numbers were down.
Yeah,
but yeah, we made up for it in effort.
Yeah, and how long did that last? This volleyball sort of playing career.
I messed my knee up sort of mid-90s, mid-90s, which when you try to jump as high as you can, and you now split your kneecap down the middle. And,
is that what you did?
Yeah. Cool. Fell off the back of a lorry. I've heard all the jokes. Believe me. Even my surgeon was making jokes. So yeah, I had to have sort of some cartilage work done to my knee, and that stopped me jumping about a bit. So that stopped my playing. So I moved into do a bit of coaching with the girls' team at the time. Quite enjoyed that, and then did a lot of refereeing. Travelled the country refereeing. Even did a few international games, which was good fun.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's best seat in the house. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sure.
When you get to that level, there's not a lot going on. It's rugby's the same. But the better the class of rugby, then the less knock-ons there are and all that kind of stuff.
So more enjoyable it is to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't have to run around either. I could just stand there and watch the game, which is good fun.
So you mentioned you got into coaching there. Did you do any kind of qualifications within the netball thing?
Not at all.
Sorry, volleyball.
You're not the first to do it.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I just relied on my experience.
Right.
The coaching I'd been through, it was quite current. I literally stepped out of playing to help him with the coaching. I didn't coach full time, I just helped with it.
Right.
It just relied on my knowledge and what was going on around me, and sort of adapted that really.
Yeah, and that's a very common path, I think, in almost all sports. You know, the people that go from playing straight into coaching just take what they've observed, probably in the last 2 or 3 years as well, quite the most recent stuff, and then just try and apply that with their own voice, I guess. Is that kind of what you did? Pretty much,
yeah. Pretty much just to put your own little bit of spin on things, and things that you know that work well for you in training, and things that you didn't enjoy in training. And then you could work more of one side of it and less of the other. And I work with some local league teams as well and try to help make them get better. And that's a good fun along the way.
Yeah, good. But you got into rugby coaching then when your son started playing, is that right?
Yeah. He, bless him, started at the age of 3.
Wow.
Which I think is probably breaching all kinds of safeguarding regulations these days, but he was very tall, so we got away with it. But there was probably 5 or 6 of them that are still playing now. Started when they were 3. And it was that stood watching, because your kids, you can't leave them. Stood watching, and the old osmosis effect of the minus temperature starting in your ankles and creeping up your calves into your knees, and I was freezing. And then one of the coaches that was running at the time turned around and said, "Does anybody able to give us a hand?" And literally, my wife, bless her, her hand was in the small of my back, and I was kind of projected forwards, and it went from there. I just got involved and had some fun with the kids. Under 60s at the time, and I had a laugh with them, which was good fun. And then they said, "Would I mind helping out full time?" Which meant me taking over the age group and going from there.
Yeah,
that was me started. That was the way.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned there that you obviously didn't play any rugby during your adult years, but and you still stayed in touch some ways. And
I'd always watched it. I'd always watched whatever was on telly.
Yeah,
I never really went to any games in between, apart from one of my friends just said, "Do you want to go and watch some rugby?" and had some tickets for Bath Bristol. So off we went and went to quite a few games after that, but never played or anything.
Yeah.
But I would watch rugby on telly whenever it was on. I'd go to a game whenever I could. So I'd always been interested in the game. I'd always loved the game.
Yeah. So when you took on the coaching role, did you have any kind of worries or anxieties about what would be involved?
I had the, oh my hell, what am I doing kind of moment. Why am I stood in the middle of this pitch? It was quite a small pitch, but why am I stood in the middle of the pitch with 40 kids running around me? I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But we sort of followed the things that the previous coaches had done and did a bit of research, looked online, did some training. I think I must be one of the first coaches in the country to get their coach licence while working with under 4s or 5s or whatever they were at the time. But that was just giving me a grounding. And then it's just kind of the bug hit me then. It's just, what other training can I do? And you go off and do, because it's great that the RFU they do the full licence course, and then they do like 2 or 3 hour courses as well. So of an evening you can go off and you can learn specifically how the kids play tag better, or how to do scrummaging better and stuff like that. So you can keep adding to your knowledge all the way through. And it's just escalated.
Yeah.
And a few years later I thought, right, I'm ready for my level 2 licence. So I went to my level 2 coaching course. I think we were with under 8s at the time then. So then to try and keep, because then you have to do so many of these extra courses a year to keep your licence.
Okay.
And I thought, well, I've got this course which is designed for the 15-a-side game. Why don't I put that to use as well? So then on a Tuesday evening, I'd go and help with the Colts at the club,
right,
or help with some of the other age groups. And then one of our age groups, I can't remember which one now, their head coach couldn't coach anymore, so I helped them until one of their guys got qualified.
I mean, it sounds like you got pushed into it, is the way you're telling this story.
Literally.
But then you've just run and grabbed it with both hands and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's such a rewarding process. I was still nervous sort of the first couple of years, and then we did, back when Matthew's group under 7s, so it's the last year of the RFU doing tournaments. It became festivals the year after.
Right.
So it's literally at the end of the season, it was the last chance for anybody to win a trophy. And they went and won the final. Right. And it's just, in those days, under 7s, you have 2 teams that play at the same time, and then you add the scores together.
Okay.
To stop clubs streaming, essentially. So when my oppo, John, looked at me and he said, well, we drew. And I said, well we won. So, and there's all the kids like, well, we've won. It was just the look of joy on their faces. It was amazing. And I still look back. I've still got the big printout of the team.
Yeah,
on the day. It's just amazing just to see that kind of bringing them on, better players, and then adding new skills with the age group progressions where you add new skills as you go on through the years. It's been really enjoyable. It's great fun.
Yeah, there's an interesting point here about winning, right? Because obviously there's a huge amount of research and pressure for there to be competition, but not necessarily that one team has to definitely win at the end. No. But what you've just described there must have been you lit up when you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the kids. It's what they got out of it.
Yeah,
they really enjoyed the fact that they realised that they won. But it's nice now that they still get that sensation, even though there's no big trophy at the end of it, because they enjoy the playing. Obviously, they enjoy winning, but we set them other targets sometimes as well. So we've got the clickers, so you can count what they're doing, and you say, right, let's set a goal. What we're going to try and achieve in this game. So one festival last year, I set them the target of every time you get tackled, you've got a support player on your shoulder who'll click the good one, got green for good, orange for not so good. And if there's not a support player there, we'll click the orange one.
Right.
So at the end of it, they came around, how do you do? Not what was the score.
Yeah.
Oh, like green, 31, orange, 6. Wow.
Plus 25.
Yeah. They were made up because they set a goal, they'd worked out themselves what they wanted to achieve, and they'd smashed it.
Brilliant. So how did you discuss with them about what kind of goal they'd like to go for?
Yeah,
really, just as simple as that.
I mean, the first game of the day, I think I set it to say, look, this is the sort of thing I'd like to do. So for this first game, we're going to look. I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah,
we're going to look at this. And so it's the next game. Right, what do you want to do this time?
Right. So it gives them an idea of the type of thing that might be worthwhile measuring, and
they said one of them was I was under 10s. We just started rucking 1v1 rucks. We wanted to see who wins the most rucks. So if they could push the person back off the ball to secure the ball, they got the green click. If they didn't, they got the orange click.
Yeah.
They won it.
Yeah.
So it's their little, again, to know what was the score. Did we win the game? Don't care.
Yeah.
Did we achieve our goal? Which is brilliant. It's there's so many different ways that you can put the challenge in there and give them that goal to go for.
Yeah.
The downside of, we went to a festival last year again where the organisers suddenly decided to have a winner at a festival. I'm quite sure how that works. And the demeanour of the coaches changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Went from, because we went to one at the same place a couple of months before. Great fun, kids had a brilliant time, we all, high fives at the end kind of thing. Same place, pretty much the same teams, and it was lots of joystick coaching going on and the coaches shouting.
What do you mean by joystick coaching?
Oh, it's literally, you've got a remote control plugged into their back, trying to all right, now you run left, now you run right, now if I press this button you kick the ball.
Yeah, and literally shouting things like that.
Literally.
Run, kick, pass. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're just a case of, done all this training during the weeks running up to it. There you go, guys. Come and have fun. And then we come off and we say at half time, say what's going well, what could go better, what we're going to do differently, and then go back out and do it again. Yeah,
and I'm sure that wasn't easy to get to them into that kind of thing, that kind of process, but it's worthwhile, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And why do you think it's worthwhile?
Well, because rugby, if you look at the RFU just changed the way that the developing player programme works. You used to be able to nominate under 13s to start going into the academy process.
Okay.
They've put that back to under 14s. So they've recognised that it's an even later development sport than we thought. So, and I know some of our guys had cup games yesterday at under 13 level, but there's no real cup to win until you're under 15.
Right.
So what's the point of being too worried about results and stuff at 10? Because they've got another 5 years yet to actually matter. So let's build the squad. A lot of people, they work too hard, train kids too hard, like in my opinion. Kids get fed up, they're going to play something different. By the time you get to that under 15 where you actually need a squad, you've got maybe 12 players, 15 players. You're struggling for a team, let alone if you get an injury or any subs. My goal is, I've got about 30 kids at the moment under 11s. I still want those 30 kids, or at least 30 kids, whether it's the same ones or we've lost a couple, gained a couple more. By the time we get to under 15s, we've got that squad and some subs, and if a couple are away on holiday, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But they're all given equal opportunity, and they'll all have that mentality when we get there, that it's all about the team.
Yeah, and that's a good point about equal opportunity, and combined with the fact that it's a very late developing sport. Absolutely. Because if the kid at 12 years old, for example, doesn't get an opportunity because he hasn't quite developed yet at that point, he may never develop the skill set that he needs.
Absolutely.
Whereas if he is given the opportunity at that point, even if he's not as good as the others, then the chance that he might then go on is much, much greater.
And we're also seeing the body shape change. I mean, there's yesterday at training, one of the lads that Will, he was easily the smallest in the group when we started. And it's suddenly like one of the mums who said, "My word, doesn't look." And you look, and he's almost head and shoulders there with everybody else because he suddenly had that spurt. I mean, you could have kind of dismissed him and said, "You're going to be a little scrum half," but no, he's going to be a brilliant attacking player. He's going to be awesome. But if you pigeonhole people and don't give them that opportunity, you don't know what you're going to be like in 5 years' time.
And this goes along with positions as well, I guess.
Yeah, we haven't even thought about positions yet. I've got a couple. If Aidan and Arthur, if they're not flankers, I don't know what they will be. Joey says he's never going to go in a scrum. He's quite small, so he's probably going to be a scrum half. My Matthew's determined to be the next George Ford.
Okay.
Even though he stopped playing for Bath, we'll let him off that one day. But when there's the scrum and it's the nearest three, he's always the first to hook.
Okay.
So I want to be number 10, but let me hook.
Just wants to be involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is what most kids want, really, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, you could look at some of the kids and you could say, right, well, probably going to be a forward, probably going to be a back, but then they don't play like that.
Mm.
You know, I mean, one of our lads, Robert, if he hasn't got number 3 tattooed on his back, I don't know who has in our at the moment, but he's the first to kick in the game.
Right.
And we've scored off his kicks. So what's the problem? You know, let him do it.
Definitely.
Work it out. I think it's brilliant.
Just going back to the clicker thing as well, it's such a good way of getting a group focus on one particular skill.
Yeah.
Because just saying verbally, okay, let's really focus on our rucking, has some weight.
Yeah.
But when you make it a competition and a game,
totally,
then it's so much more sort of engaging, right?
I haven't used them that much recently this season, but I used them quite a lot last year, and I hope to get them out again. I start using them again because it really does give them something to focus on.
Mm.
But also then, if they did fail, inverted commas, well, what didn't go right? You know, what can we do differently? Why do you think we didn't win on the rucks? What was the problem? And we can have a chat about that, and then generally they'll give us the answers back, and we take it from there. That's some of them for the next training session. Because they all know, you know, if we could go to a festival and we could lose every game 100 twice to nil. All we're doing at a festival is putting all of our training into practice, hopefully enjoying ourselves while we're there, and then it gives us ideas what we need to work on, ready for the next one.
Yes.
There's no pressure on the kids at all.
And the other issue that sometimes raises its head with this kind of environment that you've set up is potentially parent pressure. Right? So, you know, parents either wanting their kid to play all the time or worried that the weaker kids are getting played and then therefore they're not going to win. How do you set expectations to
I think it's
trying to arrest those kind of thoughts? Or
I'm incredibly lucky that our age group have an amazing set of parents.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that just because it's on recording. I will say it's their fact, and I do say their faces. I think that they're amazing. They all support each other really, really well. And I mean, over the years, we've had a couple of dads that are kind of, come on, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Why are you not doing that? And I just sort of gently wander over and say, look, he's fine. Don't worry. Or she's fine, whatever. No, fine. He's doing this. Don't forget, it's a late development sport. You support him. I'll coach him. And we have little chats. And I used to send out messages all the time. Again, I'm not quite so prevalent on that as I used to be, but always send emails. But it's always it's the team. It's all for the team. It's a late development. And the way we pick our teams to go to festivals, because we've got too many for one team, is literally we're going to this festival on that date and that festival on that date. Which would you prefer to go to? So generally, of the 30 kids, some of them can't always make them. So 12 or 13 say, can I go to that one? 12 or 13 say, can I go to that one? I thought, well, that's that team sorted then, and that's that team sorted.
Yeah.
It's really easy to just do that. But I'm very proud of my parents because they're brilliant. When we go to festivals, they're brilliant role models. Even to the point of they'll cheer if the opposition pick the ball up and run in and score a try. They'll cheer them as well.
Brilliant. That's the way it should be.
It's enjoying the sport.
Yeah,
you know, this is what it's all about.
And I've heard people using the clickers on the parents as well.
Yeah.
So you get a click if you cheer your own player, but you get 2 clicks if you cheer an opposition player or something like that.
Yeah, there's a few of that. Richard Short is very keen on that. Richard Short is very keen on that kind of stuff. The parental engagement, and there's a couple of times I've been tempted to do that at festivals. Just literally give it to an opposition parent and say, like, can you click that every time your lad does something well? Because they're playing really good stuff and they're constantly, but just give them a break. But yeah, it's good. You can use them for so many different things. I haven't used them with the parents yet. Well, I don't need to much.
Yeah, I guess, from what you said.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah. Of course, because really what you want for kids up until, almost all ages, really, you just want them to play and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
And then probably supplementary on top of that is to compete and improve.
Totally. I think I have a bit of a man crush on Jack Patson, London Irish Academy manager. Fantastic coach. Used to coach England age group stuff. If you look on YouTube, there's all the game changers and keep your boots on coaching videos. A lot of that's him.
Right.
And I was listening to him recently talking about his main goal in life is to make people lifelong lovers of sport. He didn't even say rugby.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody at that level who's supplying London Irish, the Premiership team, with players, if he's got that attitude, well, why should I have a different one? You know? Just make them love sport. And I'd say to our parents sometimes as well that even if they only play for a year, if they can take one of rugby's core values away with them, that's a win as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a box ticked, you know. If they can be a bit more respectful or whatever, you know, it's a win all round.
Yeah. And there's another sort of thread to this discussion as well is people specialising in one sport too soon. Now, I know at school I played every sport that I possibly could, and eventually almost burnt myself out because I was just playing too many. Yeah, and you know that's a danger as well. But I think the bigger danger, and I think especially in a sport like rugby, is just playing rugby.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much,
yeah.
Especially once you get into contact ages. I know some clubs do midweek training. We don't as a rule at the club, partly because we don't have capacity, but then we don't need to because so many of the kids that are doing karate, or I mean, my Matthew, for example, he loves swimming. He doesn't swim for a club anymore. He loves swimming, loves riding his bike. He does taekwondo. He's a black belt at taekwondo. He does gymnastics. He plays rugby. He used to play tennis as well. It's all hand-eye coordination, balance, agility, fitness, all those things. And we started with all these sports. I thought, well, one or two might stick. He's still doing them all.
It's amazing. Yeah.
But then you talk to a lot of the other kids. I mean, we're brilliant that one of our players in our age group, his dad actually runs Ringwood football. So they've arranged the home kickoffs now. So the kids can come and do the rugby. And then they can nip off and play the home games of football.
Right.
Well. So we try and work together on that. And I generally let them know, right, these are the festival dates. So if he's got a big game up he needs to back the players for, he knows that they're probably going to be playing rugby that day or whatever. You know, we try and work together on that as well. But yeah, I think it's brilliant. Kids should do as many sports as possible.
Yeah, because you get a lot of different things from all these different sports.
Totally.
Yeah, and you mentioned a load of them there: balance, hand-eye coordination, all these different factors. You know, movement patterns, and
when you nail it down, you think netball, basketball, hockey, football, rugby, volleyball to an extent. You're trying to put a teammate into space with the ball. So what shape that ball is, or what pressure that ball is. You know, if you can put your player into a space with that ball, your team's likely to score a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossover.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of crossover.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, so just to sort of recap on your story, having sort of no senior rugby experience, you've got into coaching and you've just gone, you've just jumped in and gone for it.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know a lot of people, because I've spoken to them at various clubs, have anxiety about doing that because they don't feel like they have the technical knowledge to improve the kids. But all that we've spoken about really is mostly about enjoyment. It's mostly about participation.
Yeah.
So really, if you're a coach and a new coach that's worried about that kind of stuff, just let the kids play, basically.
Just go for it. Let the kids have fun. Yeah, I mean, I said there's so many other courses you can do as well. There's so many online videos you can watch. A lot of the games look a bit strange at times. You think, well, what's that? And then you actually sort of read the text. Okay, I get it. So then you play, and then the kids, because they're playing a different game, they're having fun. So then they'll start to relate that back to their rugby as well. But yeah, it's just getting out there. And if you're really worried about scrummaging, just do the principles of scrummaging CPD. It's 2.5 hours in an evening, and that'll give you everything you need to give a solid base of the pre-engaged power and all this kind of stuff. You know, it's all there. It's all available. It's all readily available. And most clubs have coach mentors, club coach coordinators, more experienced coaches that will help. Just chat to people.
Yeah, it's all there, and that's a really good. It's a really good point about the online stuff because you know even 10, 15 years ago there was not too much of it, and now there is everything you could possibly need. Really. So yeah, don't worry about it. Get out there and get started.
Give it a go. It could be the best step we ever do.
Yeah, and like you say as well about the coaching courses, they don't take up a lot of time.
No.
You can sit, like you said, a couple of hours one evening and your scrummaging safety basics will be covered.
Done. Yeah, and the RFU are always changing the content as well. It says no, the new ones are principle of attack, principles of defence. You know, they're always changing the titles, changing the content. Even the scrummaging one now, they've changed that totally now.
Okay.
So you're always learning. There's always an opportunity to learn. Again, a couple of hours at a time. It's easy done. Yeah,
and you mentioned coaching coordinator type role, and you're at Ellingham Ringwood, which
Indeed.
is where my brother and his one boy at the moment. I'm sure the other one will be there at some point. Now, you guys got recognised as being really progressive in your sort of coach education and organisation. So I'd just like you to kind of talk through that, exactly what you did and how you did it, and then maybe what happened at the end.
It was an interesting process that again, it kind of stems back to, because when I started coaching, friend Duncan started at the same time, and we both sort of looked at, well, what training do we actually need to do? So when we started looking at what courses were available, we thought, well, that's really good for sort of under 6s, under 7s. And then off the back of that, we ended up building up this big matrix. So if a new coach could say, for example, if you comes to the club and say, I'd really love to help Chris coach the under 13s, we can look straight along this big matrix we've drawn up that will say, right, well, you need to get DBS because you're working with kids, you need to do the principles of scrummaging, and you need to do the under 13s age-specific CPD. That will give you all you need to help coach in that age group. Then when you get to under 14s, there's something else we can add. And it's all laid out very clearly. It's a good progression all the way through the academy, as you like to call it. And it's worked really, really well for us. So off the back of that, the coaches know what to expect. We're always upskilling them. We try and run the courses at the club whenever we can, sort of off-season. So it gives them another good opportunity to get together. And off the back of that, it helps us with our kids' first champion club win last April, which was still mind-blowing.
And what was it? What was the award for? Like, was it quite specific?
It was retention of players and the upskilling of coaches.
Right.
Because I think we worked it out of, over the 3 years we had this running, we'd had a 65% increase in player numbers. So it just proves if you're doing the right kind of coaching, up-to-date coaching, with a smile on your face, kids will come. Yeah. They'll tell their mates and they'll bring them along, and you just grow and grow and grow. And then so the coach education side of it as well, they actually talked about the matrix, the proper laminated thing, as Flats referred to it.
I saw the film. Yeah.
That's still it's still a bit surreal watching that now. Yeah. But that was actually just amazing. The difficult part was keeping it quiet, knowing about it about 6 weeks before, and then I think I told Chris, told a couple of people, I said, look, because I think Chris was going to go to the guy. I said, you might want to come to the club first. Oh no, you might want to come.
I'll say it a third time.
Yeah.
You might
want to come to the club.
Yeah.
So then you got a bit of coaching from Jason Robinson, which was quite nice.
Yeah, Chris needs a bit of work on his footwork.
He needs a bit of work on his footwork, definitely.
Well, listen, that is a phenomenal success. Like that, in terms of growth, that is unbelievable, really.
And the numbers are still going up.
Which is great, right? And it goes back to participation and enjoyment. If the kids are enjoying it, then they'll participate. So I think you've got the right focus, and like you say, the proof is very much in the pudding.
Absolutely.
So good stuff, and long may it continue.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but just carrying on your journey now, like you're a full-time coach now, right?
I am. It's something I've always wanted to do for the last sort of 3-4 years since I started getting involved in other age groups at the club and really enjoying it, and started looking at how can I make money out of this. And I started doing a few sort of little camps casually myself, and a few sessions at the club, stuff like that. And then my hand was kind of forced, really, by getting made redundant.
Right.
So my cushy office job, which...
So another solid push in the back.
it's definitely a very solid push out the door. I was kind of suddenly left, unfortunately, towards the end of the season with no work. So sort of sat down with my wife, Tracy, and we sat and we talked about it. So, well, if I can't do it now, off the back of the kids' first win and everything else that was going on, I'm never going to do it. So I spoke to a few people, and it was perfect timing because the club, there's the Your Schools programme, sponsored by CBRE. So they put a big wedge of money into the pot, and then we wanted to develop the girls' game at the club. We've got several international girls players now. We wanted to develop that side of the club.
Of course, Poppy Cleal comes from your club.
Bryony Cleal as well.
Right.
Lisa Coburn, Scotland, and Stumpy's just got in the sevens and stuff as well. So it's really well represented. We wanted to build that at club level. So there's this fund that comes in. So then you have a community rugby coach, as it were, that goes into certain local schools to help develop the particular aspect of the rugby you want to build. And then the idea is then transitioning them from school rugby to club rugby. It's just perfect timing that we were looking to do that, and we needed a coach that would be keen and enthusiastic and reliable and stuff like that. And put my hand up, and that was it. That was my first gig as a professional coach, if you want to call it that. So I did that. That started that off. That was, again, that standing in the middle of the pitch thinking, what the hell am I doing? With 30 girls who've never played rugby before in their lives.
I've done one of those sessions. It's interesting, isn't it?
They're brilliant.
Yeah, amazing enthusiasm.
I learned so much in that first 40 minutes. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But then again, working with them now and going through now, we're in the second year of that process. That's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Just working with people, again, that I don't want to play rugby. Why do you not want to play rugby? Oh, I'm going to get hurt. So, well, instead of playing rugby, should we play some rugby? What do you have to do? Just give people cuddles. Oh, okay. And I'll do that. They'll run into people and cuddle them, but they won't run into people and tackle them for the first week. So
that's a lovely little device there.
Brilliant.
That's great.
But it's just that it's being able to think on your feet really quickly and making sure the kids are enjoying themselves. You've got 30 girls, because it's girls I've been working with primarily. And then simple little games like playing piggy in the middle, but instead of trying to catch the ball, you're trying to catch hold of the person that's got the ball.
Right. Yeah.
You're actually tackling there. Oh, am I? Oh, yeah. But they don't realise they're doing it.
Yeah.
So then you put them into a game. It's good. So then seeing them then start to transition to the club, it's brilliant. Just watching them play on a Wednesday evening when they train, or the weekends, when I get the chance to see them at the weekends.
So how many girls' sides have you got at the club now?
We've got 4.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So we've got under 13s, there's about 30 girls in there. Under 15s, who I coach as well, there are 21 in there. And under 18s, I think we've got 20 odd under 18s as well. But we just started an under 11s girls group as well 2 years ago.
Brilliant.
Because it's the worry of the boy-girl size divide, and the girls getting a bit nervous of playing with the boys and stuff like that.
Yeah, when does that stop officially with the RFU? It's
under 12s.
It's a little bit older. Yeah.
But the divide starts to come before that. And so we sort of set up this thing. We went through all the safeguarding aspects of what could we do and who could play against who, because they're still technically mixed.
Yeah.
So they couldn't train together and they couldn't tackle each other, but they could do all these kind of different things. So we worked it all out. So we now got this group, and that's going really, really well. That again was part of the Kids First champions. So it's phenomenal now. We've got all these girls and they're absolutely crazy. Great fun. And they just play fantastic rugby. It's just so nice to watch.
Yeah, it's the same at the top level, and I think it's the same lower down as well. They play a slightly different way to the way boys and men play. Yeah. They're more interested in space, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We took Matthew's first trip to Twickenham was when England played Samoa a couple of years ago. So we thought, okay, so we sat up in the stands, and they were a fantastic view, and we were watching all this expansive game of rugby running about. And then England women were playing Canada straight after. Of course, Poppy was playing. I think it's one of her first full international, so her first starts or something. So we went, and then a whole group of us sat together and watched that. And yeah, they're like running at the gaps, not at the lumps. It's such a different game of rugby, and they just scored try after try after try. It was brilliant. It was really good fun. But I love watching it. It's great.
Yeah. So going back to the All Schools program, how have you found that? Because I did it for a little bit up in London as well. Yeah,
that's been really good fun. I do. There's Ringwood School, Burgate School, and Sixth Form. They're my 2 main ones I do the PE coaching in. I did some PE coaching down at New Forest Academy as well. And then I do an after-school club over at Priestons in the New Forest. It's great bunch of girls. It's quite interesting to see the different mixes, though, when you see... That's difficult to explain, but there's different attitudes sometimes between the different schools, even though they're quite close together. But it's all very much of we're a team, we're going to play together, and we're going to smash each other. Can we do contact? Have you got your mouth guards? No. Maybe we'll do that next week. But it's good fun. It's nice. Again, it's just that now going back the second year and knowing some of the girls from last year, some of the girls that obviously we did the PE lessons last year, but they haven't come to the club. Now some of them are starting to come to the club. Right. They realise that I remember this now. This is quite good fun. I enjoy this. It doesn't hurt.
That's important to remember as well. Some of the girls or some of the players will just grab it straight away and love it, and some it's more of a long burn, and depending on their stage and age and all that kind of stuff, it might take a little bit more time.
And again, you've got the 30 girls and you've got the 6 that came to the club straight away. They just want to break people. And you've got the sort of ones over here that are still like, I'm still a bit worried about getting dirty. Well, put this pink bib on. What does that do? It makes you special. Okay. And then they just, okay, I'm special. And they play. So, really?
That was all it was.
So that pink bib really helped. But it's just it's that engaging and connecting with them. But I think it's also I sort of talked earlier about my school coach, and I said, I'm being shouted at a lot and running into things a lot. Don't do any of that. So they're not being shouted at, they're just being encouraged.
So how would you describe yourself as a coach? What's your kind of methodology? Chilled.
I try not to use a whistle. I have a whistle in my pocket, but it doesn't come out very often. It's more very keen on hot feedback. So it's great pass, Tim. Unlucky Tim. Try again, Tim.
Actually, during the game.
Yeah. It's literally two positive words followed by the player's name. Remembering the names is fun sometimes, but they all get nicknames eventually. Or they will get nicknames.
Everybody does.
Everybody has a nickname. So it's just that, because if you give them that sort of quick praise of, great pass, or great pass, Lucy, or whatever, it sticks in their mind and think, oh yeah, that was good. I remember that. That's good.
Yeah.
As opposed to waiting 10 minutes and being like, now, do you remember 15 phases ago you did that? Well, what are you talking about? I'm trying to work now with the affirmation side of it as well. So do the hot feedback. So great pass, Tim. But then when you're kind of near me, not running, I can say, I really like what you're trying to do there. I like the way you actually turned and looked before you passed it. You've given a little bit more with it, a little bit more explanation.
Yeah, a bit of information, coaching knowledge.
Yeah. So they can say, right, that was a good pass. I recognise that was a good pass. What do I do? But then you can kind of back it up a bit later on. So I like that. I'm trying to build that a bit more in as well, which is a challenge for myself.
Yeah.
But it's that whole thing we were saying earlier about the education. You don't stand still. If some of the coaches at the club say, well, it's the summer, why do you want to train? You're always learning.
Yeah. And I strongly believe that you'll never stop learning as a coach.
Absolutely not.
Ever.
Absolutely not. No.
And if maybe the day you think you have stopped learning, then maybe that's the day to stop.
Well, yeah, I mean, I give a shout out to the 10th Man CPD group, as we're known. There's a whole group of us on Twitter. I'm not going to mention any names because I'll panic about missing somebody out. But amazing bunch of guys. And there's people like myself at sort of grassroots level, and getting into it as a profession, right up to people who've coached England age group. And we just share stuff and we learn off each other, and it's phenomenal. But there's never any of this, oh yeah, but you only do that. There's never any of that.
No.
It's, great idea, I like that. What have you tried thinking of this? You tried doing that. And this goes on for hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Just messages backwards and forwards in the group. But yeah, they've got their level 4 coaches that used to coach England age group, still constantly looking to learn. Why not?
That's what the best coaches do. There's no question.
Absolutely.
No question.
The game changes.
Yeah.
You look at the last World Cup to this World Cup, the game's quite different. Next World Cup is going to be massively different. And then the World Cup that Jamie or Matthew play in is going to be, I don't even know what it's going to look like. Hopefully they'll sort of scrum out by then. But yeah, and the ruck.
Yeah, cool. And you're also working for Bath in their community program? And your own program as well? Yeah, I've got my own little company, Cobra Sport Academy. So I do my own after school clubs as well locally. At the moment I'm coaching the Barton Peveril under 18s college team, which is good fun. That's a whole different ball game. And about last summer I contacted Bath because I knew they were looking for community coaches. So Dorset feeds into the Bath Academy. Right. So living in Dorset, even though I'm with the Hampshire club, it's quite handy. So I contacted them, sent them my CV, these are my qualifications, I'm really interested. And I got a call back saying, well, we're doing this camp at Warminster Army Camp. It's free for all the kids. Pretty much, this is your audition. Right. Come and have a go. Yeah. So it turned up, and it was, well, what do you want me to do? And they put me with one of their regular coaches. So with 3 of us there, they paired us up with a regular coach, and we just spent the day coaching the kids. And at the end of it, they said, yeah, happy days. Yeah. Brilliant. Crack on. Yeah. You're in the team. So now there's a Bournemouth Collegiate School. I do a breakfast club down there every week. I've done a few camps for them now. Do a skills clinic recently. What's it like coaching for the club you support? Oh man, it's amazing. I was proper. It was hilarious the other week because I was at Farley House, their training facility, which will put most National Trust properties to shame. Phenomenal place. And I'm doing a scrum and line-out session with Zach Mercer. Right. And he's like, oh, I'm Zach, we've not met before, have you? And I'm like, I'm fanboying, like, can I get a selfie? Can I do this? Like, I can't do that. Be professional. So yeah, it's just phenomenal just to see the club that you've always supported from the inside as well as the outside. It is something else. That must be amazing. It is. Yeah, I mean, when I stood outside, I was on parent alert, making sure all the parents found the way in to report the kids. And Tom Dunn walks past. He said, all right. Then he stopped and came back and said, oh, we've not met before, have we? And introduced himself. Like, you don't need to introduce me. It's amazing. It's a good sign of a very strong club culture, though, that he's done that. But they were all like it. I mean, we saw most of it. It was the night after the Saturday morning after they lost to Saracens on the Friday night. Right. And a bit of a
a tough match. And yeah, they were all so positive, and they were chatting to all the kids, and it was amazing.
Brilliant.
It's amazing. I love the club. I think they're brilliant.
And you get a load of free stash as well, I'm sure.
Oh, there's a bit of stash involved. A little bit here and there.
Okay, now you mentioned that you refereed in volleyball back in the day.
I did.
But have you ever refereed in rugby?
I've done some youth stuff.
Okay.
I've done some tournaments and festivals for London Irish on behalf of them with my freelance hat on.
How would you think you are? Your knowledge of the laws?
Oh, pants.
Yeah, that good.
Yeah. I'm all right. I'm much better when it's on the telly.
Yeah, okay, yeah. always right then.
When I can listen to Wayne Barnes.
Yeah. Well, look, this is just a bit of fun. Just trying to improve the law knowledge around the game. Nobody ever gets it always right. I'm pretty much sure of that. But with that in mind, it's time to find out, Andy Stevens, if you are a rugger law bore.
Sir, are you sure that's correct?
A player lines up a penalty kick at goal. He runs towards the ball and badly mishits it. It shoots along the ground with great speed and takes a big bounce that takes it up and over the crossbar between the posts. Is the kick given?
Yes. He's made an attempt to kick a goal and it's gone over the goal.
No.
Is that because it hits the ground?
It's because it hit the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, again, there's been quite a long run of these on the podcast recently.
Yeah, I've been listening. I haven't got any right yet.
Oh, no, but the ones that have just been recorded.
The one I did get right was the one Chris got wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice, okay. That's all good. But the questions are getting more and more niche because I'm basically just reading through the law book when I need a question. So the law that applies here is for any goal to be successful, the ball must be kicked over the crossbar and between the goalposts without first touching a teammate or the ground. Written.
There you go.
That's the law. But unfortunately, Andy Stevens, that means you're not a rugger law bore.
But in my defence, under 11s don't kick a goal. We'll ignore all the other age groups.
Mitigating circumstances. Yeah, we'll give you maybe a B+. Okay, move on to the quickfire stash questions. What is your favourite bit of stash you've ever received?
My favourite bit of stash? I've probably got 3. I'm going to narrow it down to 3.
Yeah.
All jackets. One's going to be my Ellingham Ringwood RFC Academy jacket.
Yeah.
First ever bit of stash as a coach. Love it. Second one, it's got to be my All Schools jacket. Again, nice bit of jacket, nice bit of stash.
How long are you talking for the jacket? Is it like
it's just like a little rain jacket.
Oh, like a little rain jacket. Okay, yeah.
It's nothing. Yeah. I mean, the Ellingham Ringwood one was great. I loved it the first day I wore it. I thought, yeah, look at me, I'm a coach, I'm a coach. And I remember the first day it rained, I got home and I thought, it's a bit uncomfortable. And when I took my back off, because it's got the embroidery across the back, I had Ellingham Ringwood RFC Academy in a big wet patch on my back. So they're not the most practical, really. But that was very, very fond memories for me. The All Schools one, because it's my first kind of pro gig, as it were.
Yeah, with the red rose on it as well, right?
Indeed. And then the other one has to be the Bath jacket
that you wore tonight.
I might have worn that to a Gloucester somewhere.
That's a lovely jacket. Yeah. Well, I'm not a Gloucester supporter. I'm from the area, but I don't really support anybody. It's just.
Well, that's my style.
Just my brother. Yeah.
But then that jacket, because that's when we did the camp at the Warminster as my audition. The guys were so pleased with what we'd done, they said, keep the jacket.
Oh, amazing.
So
brilliant.
Happy days.
Yeah, what a great way to go home.
The real bummer was the next time I went and said, that's our date, mate, put this on instead.
Happy days. Okay, next question. What is your favourite kit of all time? So this could be any team from any era.
Blimey. Struggle to beat a Maori All Black.
Ooh, nice.
Do you like a Maori All Black?
Yeah. Specifically the Maori one.
It's just all the extra detail.
Right.
I like the All Black World Cup one with the firm on it. That's quite cool. I like a bit of detail.
Yeah.
I hate to say it as well, but I do like the Ospreys Ultimate kit.
I can't picture that in my head.
But you imagine white body, dark grey, kind of almost blue shoulders, a little fluorescent specks and trim on it. Yeah,
that sounds fancy.
It's Welsh though.
And is there any kit at the moment that you think is horrific and should be thrown in the bin?
Oh, blimey. No. Not really. No. I can't think nothing leaps to mind. No. Nothing pretty Larry. No.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, you don't have to have an answer. Okay, mate. Well, listen, that brings us to an end. Thanks so much for coming over and doing this.
Thanks very much, Tim.
Yeah, and look, I just want to sort of reiterate that if you're nervous becoming a coach, don't be. Like,
No, absolutely not.
And
Absolutely
maybe in your words, what your experience has obviously been, one of enjoyment and a lot of satisfaction that's come out of it.
Totally, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in sport, and it's one of the few jobs I've had in my life where I actually look forward to a Monday morning. And considering that my Monday morning start at 7:20 at a school, that's not bad going, is it?
Yeah,
but it's brilliant. Just go for it.
Brilliant. And if people want to get hold of you about any of the things you do, how might they be able to do that?
Twitter's always good. So at Cobra Sport Acad is the easiest one to spell.
Mm-hmm.
Personal one is at 5312, so 53 words, 12 numbers. Or look on the Cobra Sport Academy website, contact details on there.
Yeah, perfect. I'll link all that up in the show notes for you guys at home so you can get hold of Andy. And thank you very much, mate. It's been a pleasure.
It's been great fun. Thanks, mate. Enjoyed that.
Thanks very much again to Andy. I always love digging into people's coaching knowledge, and Andy had some great tips there about coaching kids and creating the right environment. Now, if you've enjoyed this podcast, you could rate and review on Apple Podcasts, but what I'd really like is if you could phone someone you know who loves rugby and tell them, whilst checking they're okay and aren't feeling, too stir crazy. I'll be back with you next week when my guest will be... Well, actually, there won't be a guest next week. I'll be producing an end-of-season special for this, the debut year of the Amateur Rugby podcast, going back through some highlights of what has been one of the most astonishing years ever. Good time to start a podcast, eh? As you listen to this, I'll probably be now back in the UK. The government arranged a charter flight, and with travel restrictions looking to stay in place here for quite some time, I jumped at the chance to come back to the UK and be closer to friends and especially family during this tumultuous time. Stay safe, everyone. Stay at home, and until next week, don't get out and play.